It's 8:14 p.m. on Saturday, November 28th, 2015. Welcome to Evening Tea. I'm Noah Guerin.
And I'm Gabriel Oldfield.
And
It's been quite a... We always say that we're going to make an episode every week. And come on, we're going to make an episode every week. And you better be listening.
Starting now.
But
now.
That's not true because I can't even... We probably talked about this on the last episode that... Starting now, we're going to make an episode every week. But it's been so long since the last one, I don't even know what we talked about. Or
Yeah.
I probably said that every episode. But
We're probably repeating ourselves in each of these episodes.
These exact
so
words
we don't know.
have been the same, yeah. But our last one was in the beginning of August or end of July, I think. And so we're just going to sort of talk about what has happened since then. Not much. Okay, that's the end. Got it done. No, so for the fourth year or so, we fourth year.
Might as well
I think.
call it the 20th.
No, it was the fourth year. We volunteered at
Camp Capella.
in Dedham, or
Maine.
It might be in Lucerne.
It's a small camp that my grandmother kind of. It's a camp that we rent out. On Lake. Phillips Lake.
Phillips Lake. That his grandmother, who's the
CEO for a nonprofit organization that
assists people with intellectual disabilities and getting jobs and housing. OHI is the name of the.
And one of the activities they do each summer is Camp Capella.
Yeah.
This year they had to pay individually, so there were less campers, but there were quite a few during the end of the week.
Yeah, and we always go there and help out in the kitchen and cook and stuff. But there are lots of volunteers this year, so we were less necessary than we had been in the past. So we had a lot of free time.
We kind of had made a few more friends a family of friends, I guess, who lives down the road from us. And
they came
and pretty much their whole family came and helped out.
Yeah.
But
so
that's been kind of the basis of our summers, their family.
Yeah, spending time with them. But because so many people had volunteered, like I said, we had a lot of free time, and Noah brought down his 13-foot little sailboat.
It's I can't even remember it. Puffin, yes. A puffin sailboat with a rainbow sail.
Yep. It's pretty nice. So we brought that to Phillips Lake. He had sailed it before a few times. And so we took that sailing. First day we were down there, campers weren't there yet, so we definitely had free time.
We had a few times.
We didn't have anything to do, so we took that out.
The first time that we took it out, there was literally no wind.
No wind.
We got out there, and it was with Hannah the first time.
Yeah, Hannah.
And was it with Hannah that we ran into that other boat? Not ran into them, but we stumbled.
They were.
We were with Hannah, and we were just trying to maneuver, even just to get out into the middle of the lake, and there was no wind.
So
there was another
and we were just drifting.
Small boat. What was it? What do they call it? Catamaran. A small catamaran, and they were just about ready to race. And they were warning us that there was a race going on, and we were kind of stuck right in between the checkpoints.
We couldn't get out of the way. Somehow they were moving all around and top speeds and
they're kind of like zipping by us,
and we
were like throw the mainsail.
Yeah, and we couldn't get out. We did. I mean, we weren't really in their way anyway, and so we got it. But that first time we were just drifting around. It wasn't very fun.
And I'm like, Gabe, it's going to get fun.
So
I know it seems boring.
And 2.5 or 3 hours, and then we came in and nothing.
We actually dropped off Hannah because she was. We didn't want her to be.
Oh yeah. Bored.
So we dropped her off. We kind of went around the peak, one of the peaks.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of wind. It was kind of fun.
A few times, yeah.
And then we came in. We were just hoping for wind the whole week.
Yeah.
And you weren't there the last day.
I wasn't there.
But there was some incredible wind.
There were a few times before the last day though.
But anyway,
the next day we went out, just the two of us, Noah and I. We went out. There was quite a bit of wind. We didn't find the sweet spot, I guess, that we did a little later in the week. But we sailed around.
It was pretty good.
Was it the first? That's
yeah,
when we
it
went
was
in between the
second
islands.
time.
We went in this like.
That was the third time, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah.
No,
so we went out one time.
Abby. The fourth time.
No, fourth time because we went out. The second time we went out, it was just you and I.
Yeah.
We there's like a ringing sound because of the feedback. But we went out and we could get a little bit of wind some of the time in certain spots of the lake. Mm-hmm. And you'd hit the sweet spot for a few seconds, then it'd go away. And then we went out. Did we ever get close to tipping the boat? I can't remember.
No.
Yeah.
It was the third or fourth. Yeah, when we...
Oh, there was one time that we went. You and I went together.
Yeah, we went the first time. Just Noah and I went together. We just sailed around. It took quite a bit of time. We went around a few of the islands there and
weaved in between.
But the next time Noah and I went out, we got a lot of wind. A lot of wind. Was it later that day, or was it just early the next?
I think it was later that day that we went out. It was just you and I.
Yeah,
I think?
Yeah, it was. Just, and we tipped the boat.
Wait, did we?
Yes,
I can't remember.
It was remember because then the next time we went out, we brought Abby, and we knew how to tip the boat safely.
Yeah, we were experts.
So the first. Yeah, that third time we went out sailing. This is just the second day.
Yeah,
and we've already gone sailing twice. We, by accident, tipped the boat.
Yeah, and I think flipped over. At that point the rudder had broken.
No, it was. Oh.
Yeah, the rudder had broken. Is that what do they call that?
Because
tiller. The tiller.
Yeah.
Part of the nut that
sailing around. What's that thing called?
The nut that held in the tiller had broken off.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't notice until the next day.
So because of when the boat flipped, it
did something. It's an older boat.
Yeah. But. So that we tipped the boat. There was a lot of wind.
A lot of water. I think we considered even getting off the island, tipping the water out.
Yeah, but we were fine. We sailed in. His grandmother was watching and freaking out all crazy, thinking that we gonna drown or something. But it was fine. The water is very warm, so it was quite pleasant.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't like we were cold and
the
rest of the time.
That was pretty fun.
That was fun. And then the next day, we brought out Abby, Hannah's sister, who would come down to help volunteer. Or wait, did we bring Arvin before Abby?
No,
okay,
we didn't.
So we brought down Abby, and we sailed with her. Oh my God,
there was a lot of wind.
There was a lot of wind.
And keep in mind, this is a small 14-foot boat.
14? Oh,
13, 12, whatever. Yeah. And there's 3 people on there. I don't know how many pounds, but it takes quite a bit to tip a small boat like that.
Yeah.
When there's less people, it's obviously easier because there's less weight. But
but we were heeling quite a bit, and we asked Abby, "You want to flip the boat?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know. You want to flip the? Okay, we're flipping. The boat.
The only way,
and then we just flip the boat.
Yeah, the only way that the boat's gonna flip is if we want to have fun.
Yeah.
Basically.
And it's most fun when you're on the edge of flipping it and keeping it straight up, or keeping it not from sinking, I guess.
So after this, we tipped the boat. And it wasn't anything special. It was kind of slow. I mean, it's like, hey, you want to tip the boat?
Well, but then the second time.
Second time, so the boat's full of water. We're kind of just trying to navigate back.
Yeah.
And then the boat tips by itself.
Because there was so much water in it, there was a lot of weight, and it filled up so much with water that it just pulled it over. And then that's when we sailed to some small beach on the side and emptied it out.
Yeah.
So we could go a little bit faster, maybe catch some more, go a little faster, because when you have that much more weight, it takes a lot more wind to.
Yeah. But anyway, I went a couple more times after that, but one of the later times, this was actually just after Abby, you and I went sailing. Yeah. It was Arvin, Gabe, and I. And Arvin's German exchange, American, what do they call it? Foreign exchange student. Yeah, he went to John Baptist, which is the other school in Bangor.
And he was just visiting for this. He came back for the summer just to visit his host family, which was Abby and Hannah's
the family that we were kind of spending time with through the summer. And so we went with him. He had a little bit of experience with catamarans, and they actually need a license to sail those boats in Germany. So we took him out, and it was pretty good.
We almost tipped by accident, and just in time, like just before we tipped, someone pulled the rope to loosen the mainsail, and we didn't tip.
Yeah.
But
did we ever tip with him? I can't remember.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did twice.
Yeah.
On purpose.
I forgot to mention that one of the times we were out with Abby, I have a feeling this whole episode is going to be just sailing, but one of the episodes, one of the times we were out with Abby, that was when the rudder broke, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And
so we knew it was broken, but we tied it back on with some
caution rope,
caution tape, and some like plastic mesh, thinking, "Oh, this will be fine." It's gonna
like
work.
the crime scene.
Yeah,
plastic
exactly.
tape.
We found it just on the beach or something, and so this will be fine. So, it did have the bolt in it, the little nut still in it, but after we flipped it, it fell into the water. So we didn't have a tiller, no way to steer out in the middle of the lake, and it was very windy, and it was like getting stormy weather all around.
And the boat was pretty much doing circles. And if my grandmother would have looked out, then she would have just the picture she would have seen.
Yeah, and so we sailed. It took us
quite a while to get
45 minutes just to get back in.
Maybe a couple hundred feet.
Line. Yeah.
And we were using the paddles.
The paddles to steer. We tried to use the paddles as the tiller and just sail. Then we put the sails down and tried to paddle, but it was spinning all. Oh my god, it was
a disaster.
It was. Yeah. Was that the time? Yeah. Also, getting out, it was really windy. Was that the time? Yes. Yeah.
That was the time
when it took us about half an hour to get just out,
right.
Out of.
It was so windy we couldn't even get the boat.
100 feet out, the wind was coming inshore, or inland, I guess. And it took us so long to get out there. Once we did, it was really fun and windy, and we were healing quite a bit. But oh my god! Anyway, with Arvin,
Hannah had to tow us out
in a kayak.
But anyway,
with Arvin, we decided to stop by this little island, and we were all barefoot. Because
this is the first time no, actually, I went with Arvin a separate time.
We went with Arvin twice.
Yeah.
And you went with him 3 times.
Technically 3 times. Yeah, I went with him once.
So we stop on this little island.
This is one of the calmer times, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was the first time.
And
I
suggested
we're all
we
bare
stop
feet
because
Noah. Oh, this island has a trail. It won't be that bad.
Well, I was thinking of the wrong island.
Yeah, he was thinking of the wrong island.
But we got off on the wrong island.
Trail. We're all bare feet because it's too slippery to wear shoes on the boat, and
they'll fall out if you
fall out
tip
into
over.
the water. Yeah. So.
Speaking of which, Arvin lost his flip flops the second time, but we'll talk about that.
But so we dock the boat, tie it to this pine tree that's like half an inch thick, and attach our life jackets to the outside to act as little what are they called? Bumpers.
Or fenders. They call them fenders.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the boat doesn't hit the rocks and put a hole in it and is stranded and have to make a fire, whatever.
Eat the pine
smoke
cones.
signals and
yeah.
So oh my goodness. So we tried to walk in the island with pine cones and pine trees and sharp rocks everywhere, and Noah was just jumping over like a mountain goat, and Arvin was the first time.
I did cut my feet.
And then I was behind, like walking as though like as though my feet were the most sensitive. Well, they are one of the most sensitive things on your body, but like walking as though I was literally walking on needles instead of pine needles. Like I was so slow, couldn't do anything, going the slowest way, the safest way. And then on the way back, Noah was jumping all around, and Arvin and I were grabbing onto trees, getting our hands covered in sap and stuff. We got back to the boat anyway.
Yeah, we lived. We're alive to tell the story.
And it took us. We almost hit a giant rock on the way out, leaving the island.
Which wouldn't be much other than us just kind of pulling the boat back to shore. But anyway, that was pretty good.
Yeah. And the second time we went with Arvin, though, it was
pretty windy.
It was really windy. The winds were like, what did it say?
14
knots? Was it really?
Not knots. it was like
Oh,
I think
miles per
it was
yeah,
like
you're right,
11
you're right.
miles
11
per hour,
miles
which
per 11 or
translate to
12.
like 6 knots. But that's pretty good for this small sailboat.
Yeah, and we were going really fast, really fast.
It was pretty good.
It was, and we tipped it a few times for fun. We had fixed the tiller at this point.
No.
Yeah.
Did I fix it?
Yeah.
When we came
How
back?
else would we have done it? We didn't have the little thing.
I don't even remember.
It broke when we were with Abby, and then it was fine when we were with Arvin.
That's right. I must have fixed it.
Wait a second. No, this stuff with Arvin all happened before Abby came. I remember. Yes, she came.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So
Arvin was before
the first 2 times.
They don't even care.
And then we went with Abby, and then I left because I was sick, and then Noah went again with Arvin.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is after because you hadn't seen the fixed tiller. It was the it was the best fix that I've ever done. Usually, most of my fixes are just
temporary,
caution tape wrapped around rubbery mesh that's gonna fall apart.
Using wood glue on the metal bolts. No.
Yeah, but anyway, I went to a hardware store because I went back to get I think the trailer and the Jeep, and to bring it back home because this was our last day.
Yep.
And Arvin decided to go, I think, just to sail.
Yep.
Yeah, he went just for that day. And Gabe and Abby had left by then. Hannah was still there. I believe Jillian was... No, she was gone.
No, she wasn't.
Jillian was gone, which is Abby's and Hannah's sister. Yeah, but we got to... Arvin and I, we drove the Jeep up to Camp Capella. This was probably the windiest day. It was extremely windy.
And now there are only 2 people on the boat instead of 3.
Yeah, so there was a significantly less amount of weight on the...
Not significant. I'm not fat.
No, you're not.
I know.
But when you account for
I know.
this tiny boat, any weight that you can have is going to make a huge difference. In a good way, mostly. Sounds like a restaurant in here. But anyway, we get the boat in the water. We get it all ready to sail, have the sails kind of half pulled up, half reefed. And even just that half reeving is causing the boat to go crazy. So Arvin and I get in the boat, we push off, we realize there's no way. We're definitely not sailing today. It was just way too windy. This is the windiest day, and we could barely get out with Gabe and I. I was actually swimming the first time you and I went.
Oh, yeah.
I was swimming next to the boat in my clothes, and you were paddling, and Abby was doing the rudder. Yeah. She had never touched a tiller in her life. Yeah. But anyway, it was worse than that. And so Arvin and I think we both got on the boat and swam alongside the boat. It was impossible. And so Arvin and I decide it's definitely necessary to get a tow. So we haul Hannah out. I think she was just about to swim, and we tell her she's going to need to pull us. And even then, that took oh my God, yeah. So we get out there. Probably there's a small island, we call that. We try to get beyond this point because it's necessary to get beyond the point so you can go the full length of the lake. And we could barely get beyond this point.
And if you don't go past it, then you can easily be pushed back into shore.
Which is really tricky because right directly next to our camp is that beach club.
Yeah.
And you have to make a direct shot out of this camp, or you're going to be pushed back into the beach club, which could be pretty nasty because there's line, there's weeds, and rocks and stuff like that. But the other obstacle were boats, or was boats. Yeah. And there were probably 10, would you say, boats at this yacht club kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's
there
kind
were
of
a lot at the, and then there was this one sailboat just feet away from where we had to sail out from.
Right. And rocks and weeds and stuff.
The cam was trying to sell.
And so there were a couple particular boats and docks that were right in our path. And this is when Arvin and I are going out. And we had to use, it was so windy and we were wrapped up in the sail. The line rather, was we put the tiller on wrong. You know how sometimes you can put the tiller on backwards, where the rope that's supporting the mainsail will get on the wrong side.
Yeah.
That it wasn't on wrong, but it was wrapped around the tiller.
That happens all the time, and then you can't steer.
And we couldn't steer at all, so we were trying to maneuver that.
All tied up.
And with this, we were literally, I'm not even joking, maybe 5 inches away from hitting multiple boats. It was like the thrill of my life. It was insane. But it was so awesome. And one of the times I was maneuvering it, I was at the tiller, and we're weaving in through these boats, and we're just trying to get enough wind to get on past this cluster of boats. But in the process, we have to weave through them. So the thing that's allowing us to get beyond these boats is the sail. The sail was caught up somehow. We weren't able to pull it up. And in order to get out there, we had to pull it up. But we couldn't because we only had a certain amount of time. It was between the ledges, I guess, one of the coastline, and the cluster of boats. We had maybe 5 minutes, 50 seconds maybe. I wouldn't even say that long. In between this cluster and the land. So we're adjusting the mainsail, and we're trading off. I'm like, Arvin, okay, take the tiller. I gotta go do the sail. And so he takes the tiller, and I do the sail, and maybe 30 seconds later, we're in a cluster of boats. Either I have to take the tiller, and he has to adjust it. But anyway, we get out there, and as soon as we're out there, it's incredible. There was so much wind. I just realized we're spending 20 minutes on this sailing thing.
That's fine. We only have 2 more months to cover.
But anyway, it was great. And so we get really good wind, sweet spot the whole time. And it was incredible. So, yeah, okay. Before we tipped the boat, I'm pretty sure, which was this time we tipped the boat, and it was definitely not intentional. And so before that, we got off on this random dock that was somebody's. They must have. I think they were there because I saw some doors open, but I don't think they were at the camp currently. They must have been out for a walk or something. And we were there for maybe half an hour just jumping off their dock because I don't know. Arvin suggested it, so we did it. It was pretty fun. And then we just took off from the dock. And it seemed like maybe 3 hours, but it was only like 45 minutes total. So anyway, we tipped the boat, and this time I actually hurt myself. That's pretty much it. It was pretty fun. It was awesome.
Yeah. And it's really fun to sail. I mean, it's.
Oh right.
I haven't.
The flip flops. So.
Okay. Yeah.
It's real time that we flipped the boat, and it's in this sweet spot of wind in between an island and a really long stretch.
You have to come about, like, if you're going fast, it's always in the same spot. It's just the way the lake is shaped and where the islands are, I guess, and mountains around it. But it's always in the same spot, and you have like 30 seconds, and then you have to turn around, or you're gonna hit the land.
But that time, it's so amazing, and so we flip right there. We flip the boat. This time, the mast is going complete circle. It went all the way down, and the boat was completely tipped over. It was fine. We were able to get it back up. But the problem is Arvin lost his sandals, his flip-flops. They float, of course, but they're the color of the water. They were dark blue. And so in the midst of coming about and whatever, we're looking for these sandals. We found... right, okay, so I don't even remember what happened. I think he had one on the boat, and he found that. So we went off to that small island again to empty some of the water and just to get off and take a break. And he lost his flip-flops there. Maybe one of them that he had. I don't even remember. And it was stuck in this, like, glob of mud that was in the ground. And he was searching with his paddle. He was kind of just feeling around. We were holding the boat, and I think we had the sail up at that point. And he was kind of feeling around with his I almost said spatula but his paddle, And all of a sudden, it was the funniest thing. It just popped out of nowhere. It literally shot out of the water because it was like stuck in this clump of like weeds, and it was so funny. But that's my idea of funny.
Yeah.
But it was pretty fun. And
so this all happened between.
This is just 1 week of our vacation.
5 days. This is 5 days.
But it was a pretty good highlight.
Yeah, it was. That was very fun. That was really fun. And obviously, we still helped out at the camp and stuff. We didn't completely slack off. But that's fun. And now that we know how the lake works,
we'll be able to go next
really
time.
Fun.
Yeah,
anytime next summer. Yeah.
So what else happened? So was that before? That was. I'm pretty sure that was after the play.
Oh yes, that was after. That was the day after Abby's musical. We talked about it in the last episode, and I think we even mentioned that it was going to. Yeah, we definitely did. It was being performed in Brooks, Maine.
Oh yeah, this is we did that recording right before we went to the Marsh Harbor Theater. I think it was a few weeks before.
Marsh River Theater.
Marsh River Theater.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't even think I was involved at that point. I might have been.
Yeah, you were.
But anyway, yeah.
So we did another 2 performances of Abby's musical at the Marsh River Theater in Brooks, Maine, which is by Winterport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because several people could not come because it was in the middle of summer and it was very sudden.
Abby had to.
Abby had to actually act in it, so we needed a bassist. So Noah did that. It
was pretty good.
Music in 3 days.
And
did that. That was fun.
It was a pretty good performance, but there weren't a lot of people there.
There were not a lot of people, and because we weren't at the high school, so there weren't sound people or light people to work with us, and it wasn't at Penobscot Theater, which has people paid to do that stuff. It was at this small little theater, and we had to do everything. Like the cast had to do
everything. Arvin Solomon, this German
Von
Solomon.
He had gotten there a few days earlier,
and they recruited him to do the lights and I believe the sound.
The lights mostly. The lights. He and Jillian did the lights, like spotlight
for this whole thing. He'd never done any lights or anything.
So they set all the.
And keep in mind, Jillian's 12 years old.
Yeah. They programmed all the lights. And everything.
And they did very well.
Really well. And the sound, Noah and I had to go to the high school, ask people if we could borrow thousands of dollars of
worth of equipment.
And just drive it down to this tiny little theater, carrying it. Nothing. So we borrowed it. We had to carry this thing. It must have been at least 100 pounds.
It was very heavy.
Like 150
It was just
pounds,
very awkward.
Very awkward, very cumbersome, down this tiny set of stairs about the width of our shoulders that goes up to the sound booth at the high school. Carried that down.
Was after we had messed around with another completely different sound box that didn't even go with the mics that we brought.
And we brought all the mics, and Noah and I were responsible pretty much because no one else was going to do it. And we didn't mind, but we were set up all the mics, plugged. We had no idea what we were doing. No clue how this machine works.
We figured it out.
We figured it out and plugged everything in and ran up and down the stairs. Did a million sound checks to see what stuff did.
And I have to say, if I can remember, the mics did really well.
The mics didn't.
They didn't mess up.
There was no mistake in the mics.
If I can recall, also. We did better than Bangor High.
Yes.
And Bangor High is infamous for faulty mics.
And we used their equipment.
We used their equipment in this small theater. We were also part of the pit.
And we also had to run down in the pit and take care of that and help, whatever. We were like when your actors tend to look down upon musicians, that's just the way it is. Musicians also look down upon actors, but in a different way.
Well, we kind of look up though, because we're in the pit.
But so
and they look down because we're in the pit.
If something sounds bad, it's the musician's fault. It's not the actors. No way. So we had to deal with that and helping people, and also because we're nice. And we wanted the show to.
And it was kind of fun.
Well, and it was very fun. Yeah,
running up. It was really hot though.
It was. Oh my god! It was super hot, but it really turned out well. It was really good. It was a little disappointing because there were very few people, but
it was pretty fun.
Or not, but, and also, I guess is what I mean to say. All those same people had pretty much seen it before because they were the parents.
They were the parents.
Not that matters.
There weren't many locales, and
but it was fun. It was a good way to spend that week.
And good experience overall. Yeah.
And so the day after that last performance, we went to Camp Capella.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. So it's pretty busy.
What was this before or after John came?
I can't remember. After John, because it was when Arvin was there.
Okay,
and
Arvin.
He came
so
2 days after John left.
So we had an extremely busy summer. We didn't sleep an hour.
We just didn't sleep.
So before the day before Arvin came, or the day of Arvin came.
2 days before.
Okay, right. Jean had left.
Yeah.
And Arvin she was there for 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
A month. And she came. Okay, explain that.
Okay.
We're at 29 minutes, by the way.
Okay. So here's an idea. Let's end this episode here, and we'll continue the story in the next episode.
That's a good idea.
Okay,
so
it's half an hour.
Yeah. So talking about the rest of our summer,
and we have to say this or we'll forget.
Yeah.
Talking about the rest of the summer, starting
from the beginning.
We've already talked about
most of it.
August. We're going to talk about July, and that whole fiasco.
So basically, the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
We can start off next time with the camping trip.
July. Oh, the camping trip.
So the camping trip
will actually be June 20th or so.
And
we'll finish this.
We'll finish that
next time.
So we're gonna be ending off with a song we listened to quite a few times over the summer.
It just happened to be on the radio, and
you liked it, and we put it on the playlist.
Yeah, people like it.
You can't understand the words, so don't try.
Anything he's saying.
But if you happen to listen to the full song, we'll play a second at the end. Strongly encourage it.